a martial arts movie podcast.
I threw that shit before I walked in the room.
Featuring drunken Thai boxer, Will.
Too bad you will die.
The also drunken wrestler, Mark.
I said I don't want trouble.
And drunken karate master, Zero.
You've lost your balls.
And now,
Talk. I know Kung Fu. You know, baby.
Fists of Fail.
All right, you ready to talk about Mr. Bone's wacky ride?
Sure. I don't know what that has to do with Michael Jai White's Blood and Bone,
Did you know
sure.
that? So Michael Jai White plays the character named Bone, but his first name is like Isaiah.
It's never spoken in the movie.
Never
apparently.
said in the movie.
I guess it's just in the script. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Like, I know, in movies you can give characters weird names, but Bone.
That's his last name.
Out of all the names to name a character, like, why Bone?
Yeah. I don't know, because they needed to make the title Blood and Bone. The final villain of this movie should have been Blood. He's just fighting his own blood.
James Blood versus Isaiah Bone.
All right, so yeah, this is Blood and Bone, a movie that I actually like. I don't know why I say it like that, because that's like, oh, as if I, like you'd be surprised that I wouldn't like it. This is like one of the Michael Jai White films that like really holds up in my opinion. It's definitely low budget feeling at times, but I think that that adds like an extra charm to the film. And like I've seen a lot of Michael Jai White movies, like I've seen like Falcon Rising, I've seen obviously Black Dynamite, we've seen I've seen Spawn, but like
I like Spawn.
Yeah. If I had to choose,
but I
Spawn,
haven't seen it since I was a child, so it's possible it doesn't hold up.
Well, I'll choose this one.
I'll leave it as I like Spawn.
Right. No, I've seen a lot of Michael Jai White movies, and out of all the ones that fit in that category of like the typical Michael Jai White film, this one's like probably my favorite. And what I mean by typical is that a lot of his films like follow a similar structure in terms of like how his character is portrayed. If you see enough of his films, you know what kind of character he's going to be. He's going to be the gruff guy, no nonsense, very like stoic. He can beat anyone down, like first time watching Michael Jai White, anytime you go into a Michael Jai White film, you know what you're getting yourself into, like Never Back Down, second and third movie, same exact characteristics I just mentioned. But in this movie, it's the same thing, but it's done well, right? I feel like they wrote around that much better than other films, and not say that his other films are bad, but like here I feel like they did it best.
Okay. I'm actually not at all familiar with Michael Jai White's filmography, minus Spawn, and then also minus Black Dynamite, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yes,
and
but that's an anomaly.
I like his acting in that movie a lot. I like the character he came up with. You were kind of telling me about, this kind of thing where he maybe is typecasted, right?
Yep.
Or maybe he just chooses these similar roles.
Yep.
And upon watching this, I can see where he might play this character a lot.
Yeah.
It's it's not so complex. They try to add nuances in the writing and like adding backstory and adding character motivation. But I would say in terms of, picking out this character in a lineup, it's kind of difficult because, they were saying in the making of, they were kind of going for those older type of Clint Eastwood type characters, the silent protagonist, you can almost say. And yeah, I mean, it works here. For me personally, though, this is such a, dated archetype of a character. I want to see something a little different with it.
Right.
But I understand this is a lower budget film. Like they're spending their time elsewhere. Yeah. Noticeably more with the fights in this movie.
Right. Well, I mean, Michael Jai White definitely shows range when he's playing Black Dynamite, which is a great comedic role. But like in every other film, I feel like he's kind of almost always plays the same character. And that's not really a mark against him. It's just like you just know you're going to a Michael Jai White film and you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. But yeah, I do like this film because they try to capitalize on that, right? They're trying to, like, well, you kind of need this kind of character for this story, right? Yeah. So what is this about? It's about a ex-con getting out of prison, trying to save a friend's wife's and son.
Yeah, daughter.
I forget what that
I
was.
I was gonna try to stop you from saying that because that's, it's kind of revealed later that's actually the real story of the movie.
Oh yeah. Oh, I kind of I thought it was like pretty obvious, but okay, that's the movie story wise.
Yeah. Well, so the idea is, yes, he's an ex-con who gets out of prison or jail, and he's trying to turn his life around, I guess you can say. So he's trying to make money in any way he can, and so he gets into underground fighting to make a quick buck. You don't really know his motivation so much, but they kind of slowly dole out this information.
Oh yeah, very slowly.
You can tell he has certain motivations because he's trying to get information from certain people, and then the story kind of reveals itself later.
Yeah, and I like that they add a little bit of drama. Again, this is not high art, right? This is a very bare bones action film, but they have a little bit of character to this as well. So we have two characters here or two standouts, I guess, or make the film. One is Eamon Walker, who plays the villain, the one who's kind of pulling the strings behind the whole thing. He's like this very elegant, sophisticated, villain that we have in the film. But we also have Dante Bosco,
Hey.
aka Zuko, aka Rufio, and that's it. That's the only things I can name with him in it. Yeah, and then like he plays the character who's going to be like a hustler, I guess. Whatever you would call. He's like the fight promoter.
He's a fight promoter. He essentially becomes the sidekick.
Yeah, like the agent.
So where Michael Jai White is the the stoic, quiet protagonist, you can almost say. They need to fill in that void with Dante Bosco's bombastic, over-the-top performance. This guy is, I wouldn't say he's chewing scenery. I feel like his motivation was, you're on coke, go nuts with these lines. And he really went to town with the delivery. And it's great because he has an extremely distinctive voice. If you watch the Avatar animated series, you're going to know it right away. And when we were watching this, I was having trouble separating the character Zuko from the animated series and hearing him deliver these extremely un-PC lines of dialogue.
Oh yeah. There's nothing more unsettling than hearing Rufio yell the N-word. I was like, whoa! I was not expecting that, and it's so jarring. But whatever. Like after a certain point, I thought it was okay, but it's only like a small portion of the film where he's like that. I feel like they don't ham it up ham his character up like that throughout the whole film, right?
Well, he does like disappear at the 45-minute mark.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so unfortunately, for me, that was kind of disappointing because he was kind of carrying the movie for me. I mean, Michael Jai White is not supposed to be so emotive. Yep. Everything is internal with him, it seems like. And so at least Dante Bosco's character was, providing entertainment because he was delivering these really silly lines of dialogue.
Yeah. Like you said, he literally disappears like 45 minutes in, and he's the one carrying a lot of the exposition, right? So Michael Jai White, without Dante Bosco, you would not know a lot of any of his motivations until like the halfway mark where he just reveals everything, which I apparently spoiled before. But like up to that point, you're like, what is he doing? Like, why is he trying to get into the underground ring? Like, why is he trying to do any of this stuff?
It's when the movie starts out, you're just thinking, okay, he's an ex-con. You see he has fighting ability, so logically it's like, okay, well, I guess I need to use my skills and make money somehow. And so I thought it was going to be your typical, pit fighter tournament style movie, and it kind of seems that's the case. But we get different layers of, story to put on top of that.
You asked me at the beginning of watching this because you had to see this before I recommended it, and we watched it together. If it was going to be a tournament film, and I was like, no. It is, but it's not really.
Yeah, it is, but it isn't.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Right. So, okay. So I want to jump into the first fight because this sets up what Michael Jai White is capable of. In terms of like what his capabilities are. Right. He is unbeatable. He is an unbeatable tank. And like, if you ever seen Michael Jai White in his prime, like you just see how fucking muscular and how like powerful the guy is. The guy was I think he's like a ninth degree. Don't quote me on this. Ninth degree Kyokushin black belt, Kyokushin karate black belt. So he has a lot of power and like power in his technique. And like behind that, there's like just solid muscle. So like when you're watching any of his movies, you kind of like get an understanding that he is here to just like deliver these powerful strikes. It's not always like the fanciest choreography, but like I think that this first fight scene, for example, where he's in the prison, he's about to get shanked by Kimbo Slice, a former UFC fighter, also deceased, where he's being ambushed by a bunch of these dudes. And he just takes them out using like really like one or two hits on each villain, each assailant. But like I think that this guy has so much technique and so much power behind it. I think he sells it very well, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's funny that you said he was kind of like a tank. I would actually disagree with you there slightly because he's really fast, and I was extremely surprised watching this first fight scene because, yes, what happens is he gets surrounded in the men's room. He has his back turned to these guys who are going to shank him, and then he takes off his shirt, revealing his very muscular body. And
he's all oiled up, incredible.
And I was like, oh man, this guy is jacked. And then when you see him start performing the choreography, he's so fast. He can jump so high, and it goes against the visual of the typical muscle-bound man. You think he's going to be the tank. You think he's going to throw all these very slow telegraphed haymakers, but it's just extremely surprising his speed.
Yeah. Like when I think of like Michael Jai White in this film versus like when I saw in like Undisputed 2, where he's mostly like a boxer, right? You got that. I mean, that's a remnant of the first movie, but whatever. You wouldn't expect that he can deliver such like powerful kicks. But you know what? This particular fight scene reminds me of this, albeit this fight scene's incredibly short. It's like 20 seconds long. This reminds me of Black Dynamite a lot. I don't know if you got a semblance of that, because the way the camera works, the way the camera is stationed, we get these like dolly zooms, these crash zooms. I mean, like some of the staging of these movements. Like when Michael Jai White delivers that knife to the collarbone in Kimbo Slice, like, you see like the camera like would like pan over to him, almost like a really cheesy 70s movie.
And you get the reverse like slam out instead of crash in.
Yeah. And there's one shot where there is a stunt person running towards Michael Jai White from foreground toward outwards, and you just see like the camera kind of like zooms out. Like that's exactly what I think of when I think like old school action film, like from the 70s.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's funny because like those sort of camera movements, I feel, are used for comedic effect now because they've come from such an old era of filmmaking. It's nice that they're utilized here, but it doesn't come across as cheesy because you take the fight very seriously. So what I was gonna say, this fight kind of reminds me of a Bruce Lee fight.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. I was
where
just gonna get to
it's
that.
like, what's the least amount of moves I could do to, dispatch these guys? And, he's not doing anything complicated in terms of the choreography. It's never anything longer than maybe, two combinations. I feel like it's just straightforward kicks and punches and how he's disbanding these bad guys.
Right. And yeah, I was just going to say the same exact thing. So ever since Jackie Chan, like really like pioneered what he did for action cinema, like for fight scenes, like everyone wants to do that. Right. But, if you really think about it, like, Bruce Lee obviously was a pioneer of his own, and like he showed that you don't always need to do something fancy. I mean, he did do fancy things, but he had a lot of power behind his hits in his fight scenes as well. So like you will believe it that he can take out dudes with one hit each. And like here, it's like for a perfect demonstration that like you can do that in a more modern film. I mean, this is 11 years old, but still.
And you know what? And that makes sense too, because when you look at Michael Jai White's physique, if he was doing long, bouts of choreography, like six to 7 to 8 to 9 combinations of punches, it would probably just seem like overkill.
Yeah.
If you're watching it, you would think like, well, after the second or third punch, from a guy of this stature, the guy would probably go down already.
Of course.
So it's nice that, he's throwing these like flying jump kicks, and then that's it. That's all he needs to do, because you believe his power because, well, look at his size.
Right. And maybe I'm mistaken when I said he was a tank. He's more like a flying battleship.
He's a flying tank.
He's a flying tank. Yes, exactly. Like Bowser's castle or whatever. Yeah, like and he has a lot of swiftness to him. Like you said, you won't expect that he can do all these spinning hook kicks and like jumping kicks. There's this one. I like this one shot where like we said it's like a very old school dolly shot away from the actors, where he takes on this guy. He kicks this guy in the ribs. They're much taller than him, and then he just you can see him like deliberating and for a second, and he delivers this really low kick, like his inside kick towards the back of the guy's leg, like almost like pretty much like paralyzing from the waist down. And then then the next shot you see him doing the jumping spinning hook kick. Whatever. I like that because it almost feels like. It actually does feel like visceral. It almost feels like there's a lot of power behind that kick, and it feels like, yes, this is something that Bruce Lee would set up in like if he were still alive today, like making movies. It's like it looks like there's enough time for him to chamber that kick before he delivers it. And again, it's not super flashy either, and I really like that. Like how old school this whole fight scene feels. But then obviously it gets ruined by the end where he stomps the camera and then the title appears.
Well, the title is Blood and Bone. There's lots of nice blood graphical elements going on. So yeah, stomp the camera. Why not?
Yeah, very, very 2000s. So we get introduced to obviously all those characters we mentioned before. We do have some small fights. They're not really worth talking about all too much. There's this scene where Bob Sapp, who appears in the film as just this, like basically the sub boss who works underneath Eamon Walker. He gets introduced in one scene where he basically beats the hell out of this cowboy guy, but it's really not much of a fight scene. I guess the next real one to really worth talking about isn't until about 30 minutes into the film.
So I want to just rewind a little bit. There is one fight scene I want to talk about that you missed.
Oh yeah.
It's these two no named fighters. It's a guy in a white long sleeve, and there's a guy wearing overalls with no shirt, and he has a afro wig on that has pink rollers and all of that. It's a very, very stupid fight. I'm not gonna break down the choreography. I just love this visual of a man in with pink rollers in his hair fighting this other guy. It's so stupid.
That is true. I totally forgot about that because, like we said before, the way that we introduced the guy with the pink rollers in the hair is through Dante Bosco, who calls him the F word, not that F word, the other F word. I was like, wow, that's again really weird to hear Zuko say those words, but okay.
Right. I want to say it's in the script. I'm sure he didn't come up with these lines of dialogue himself.
Right. So I guess like I said before, there's a lot of like small fights in the movie. They're not worth breaking down the choreography. And at the 17-minute mark, Michael Jai White beats down this guy wearing a tap out shirt, just doing a spinning back kick, and then he just flies up and does a jumping side kick, and the fight's over.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
We already got an establishment of his power in the first fight in the prison. They're kind of just setting it up now that he's going to pretty much dominate this whole underground fighting.
Right.
And so one of my complaints with this movie is Michael Jai White goes through a bunch of fighters, as you would in this sort of story, but we never get a moment where he loses.
No, definitely not.
So that's kind of that's kind of standard in any sort of hero's journey. There needs to be a low point for him, and in terms of his fighting abilities, he never experiences that. He's just perfect. He's kind of unbeatable. I wish we got that fight where you think he might lose.
So this is what I said before. This goes exactly with what I said before. Michael Jai White doesn't ever have those moments in any of his movies. He's always perfect.
Really?
Yeah, like I've never seen him in a film where he like, okay, with the exception of Undisputed 2. That was like the only movie I can think of where he loses, but it's not because of his fault. It's because he gets drugged up. But like in the end, he still ends up beating down Scott Adkins. Michael Jai White's characters in all his films are like come off as almost invincible. If they're not invincible, he has so much skill to him that it seems like like nothing can really come even close to like being a challenge for him. And if there is going to be a challenge that's going to come close, that person is also incredibly skilled, but still not as skilled as him. Similar to like a Bruce Lee film, like he's probably as analogous to a Bruce Lee as I could think of in terms of like how a character is portrayed in movies. Because Bruce Lee doesn't have anyone who's close to his levels in any of his films. Like not even comes close. Like the most challenge he ever faced was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he just beat him up by choking the shit out of him. So like Michael Jai White, yes, he doesn't have any real challengers, and in this particular fight at the 30-minute mark, it's the one versus many fight again, but this time it's more interesting because of the location and I think it's a little bit more varied, right? Like I think there's a lot more to it than the first fight. So what is the setup? So it starts off with him versus this one guy in a tank, right? I saw some of the behind the scenes. It's like you see like like they had a pretty open space where like a chain link fence in the background, a bunch of people roaring in the back. So I like the setting a lot. He beats this one guy in the white tank top relatively easily. He just parries one hit and then he just goes for the hook punch and just knocks him out.
So this was a little disappointing to me. Yes, it's supposed to be a simple knockout, but one thing I want to point out is they seem to kind of give Michael Jai White this like sixth sense about fighting. The way they film it, they show him kind of studying his opponent. In this moment, he notices that the guy in the white tank top and the golden grill, he is like throwing these jabs, and he kind of leaves his arm out and it drops. And I thought like, oh, okay, he's going to he's going to look for a moment when he throws a jab. He's going to use the fact that he saw that arm drop as a opportunity to step in.
Yeah. Nope.
And yeah, well, to jump to that quickly, he does not. It almost looks like a sucker punch, even though it isn't, because it just happens so fast. I like that they were trying to give us this moment that he's calculating. He's not just this brute fighter. He's actually thinking about what his opponent will be doing. But this was not the opportunity to show that. They should have maybe did that in other fights or in the next moment when he fights multiple people. But it feels like a wasted opportunity.
Well, I mean, it's not meant to be lingered on, right? It's just to show, hey, the first dude is meant to be just knocked out immediately. Like that's all it really is.
So what I'm saying is like, why even show that?
Oh yeah. I don't know. I do believe that like it is the territory that you're in. You're in a Michael Jai White film. It's almost always like this. Maybe I'm exaggerating here, but like for this movie, it's a little over exaggerated that Michael Jai White can literally just knock any one guy out just because like, yes, he has like this awareness. He's like, he basically, oh my God, Michael Jai White is not basic instinct. Shit. What is that? I'm never gonna get it. It's Dragon Ball Z. The Dragon Ball Super, Ultra Instinct.
Oh, Ultra
Not
Instinct.
Basic Instinct.
Yeah.
That's.
I don't want to see him on top of Michael Douglas. Like dry humping him to death.
Or Glenn Close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't. Instead of having that, we have the next portion of this. Once he gets kind of like ambushed by a whole bunch of these dudes, he delivers this really great shot of him with this really high side kick. I like that a lot. Like you can see like the pose is really good. There's a lot of power behind it. Like the form is absolutely perfect, and it stops a dude in mid jump, right?
Yeah, it's so crazy because that I don't think they used wires in
I
this
was just
movie.
gonna
It doesn't
ask.
seem
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like it. I didn't see anybody getting rigged up in the behind the scenes.
Right.
So I think what that guy had to do is he had to jump as high as he could, so Michael Jai White could kick not as high as he can,
Yeah.
but kick very high. And then you just see him get slammed in the air with that foot.
Yeah.
And then he lands on his upper back. It's just such a such a fun little moment that it goes by really quickly.
Oh yeah, but it's great. I love everything about it. Like there's power behind it, and yes, the guy is jumping directly up. If he jumped towards Michael Jai White, that thing would probably cave his chest in. And he takes out the next guy in this flannel shirt, using this arm lock to and then it basically breaks his arm. I was like, that is significantly worse than the first guy's injury. So it basically gets ambushed by a whole bunch of dudes, but he knocks off each one of them out relatively easily. And I like this one shot that they do. Oh, I'm sorry. What I mean is it's all done in one take, right? So you have a bunch of dudes approaching him from the camera, and he's just basically taking them all out with relative ease. And using a combination of spinning hook kicks, punches, and everything. And then he caps that all off with this flying double. I don't know what you call this move.
It's a quadruple kick.
Mm-hmm. It's quadruple kick. Yeah, flying quadruple kick.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen a quadruple kick on screen. I've always been calling out the triple kicks, which I love. So yes, as just to reiterate, these guys are advancing towards him, and he's taking them out. And he jumps in the air. He kind of does a split kick and takes out two guys on the left. And then with, the last momentum, he's able to kind of throw a third and a fourth guy off with two additional kicks. As I was going frame by frame, the third kick, technically is nowhere near the third guy.
Oh, yeah.
But it's okay. It happens very, very, very fast. I haven't seen a quadruple kick in a movie before. So I was extremely impressed by that.
Yep.
I love this shot. As you mentioned, it's kind of a one take, but it's really short one take. The camera is pretty stationary. It's following the action, but it's no shaky cam.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a very, very nice moment.
Oh yeah, no, of course there's no shaky cam at all in this film. I feel like you can always see the action, and that's one thing that's really great about the fights here. The fights themselves are never like spectacular, but again, this is a completely different kind of martial arts movie. It's still a martial arts movie because of what Michael Jai White is capable of doing, but it's not overly flashy. But there is flashy stuff in here, right? So he doesn't have to do that quadruple kick, but it's yes, we're combining the brute force that he's capable of with these crazy kicks that are completely impractical. Why on earth would you do something like that? But hey, it's cinematic, and we top it off with Gina Carano showing up at the end, giving him her phone number. And we were mistaken in thinking that the female lead of the movie, Gina, and we were thinking that the whole time, why does she look so different?
Yeah. I guess we wrongly assumed that her being in this movie, she was the female love interest, when we should have known better because she actually was an MMA fighter. Therefore, she was a fighter in the movie. So the whole time we were like, did she get a nose job? Did she get, did she get work done? She doesn't look the same, but we're like, okay, maybe she's just younger. Maybe her facial structure.
After this fight, I was actually just gonna jump straight to a much later fight, but I did want to talk about so what ends up happening is that now we have a fight montage, right? So we essentially have Michael Jai White beating a bunch of people up relatively easily in the underground ring, but there is one portion where they're kind of fighting in this club / basketball court area.
I was gonna say a dance club. It kind of looks like a country club where people would go line dancing, because of all the neon lights and then the wooden floorboards.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I don't want to bypass this one because it's not anything cinematically amazing, but I do want to talk about it because it uses a lot of like MMA grappling in it, and I like this a lot for that, because it's like, again, we always say like, if you can do grappling well in cinematically, you get an A for effort from me. Because it's not it's not easy to like do it, but here, like, I feel like it's done relatively convincingly. Again, like, I'm not the biggest grappler, so like, I don't know. But I thought it's well done.
Well, it's one of those things where we've always mentioned, once you go to the ground, there's that danger of staying in like a chokehold, staying in an arm lock, and your eyes, will get bored because you're used to seeing, when you're in an action scene, you want movement, you want something to happen to make it feel exciting. And, with real fights, if you stay in the, the arm lock, the chokehold or whatever, usually you're not moving so much. Right. So there's only so many different things you can do with that cinematically. Yep. Thankfully, whenever they go down, when they're on the ground and they're trying to get in and out of these holds, it's constantly moving and it's constantly changing. So it never feels stable.
Yeah. And what I like about it is when they are one of the characters is being held in a certain position, they show in a different cut from a different angles with the camera, like how they got out of it. That's great. That's great, because like there's one moment where Michael Jai White is basically palming the shit out of this guy's face, and I guess this guy is trying to like I don't fucking know holds very well, but he basically has him held down as well. And Michael Jai White, in a different cut, you see his leg come out and just basically like hook around his face, and basically puts Michael Jai White in a better position where he gets top position. And obviously he uses that to finish the fight. But I like that. Like, I like little things like that where like, hey, if you're gonna give the character the upper hand, show that, right? Again, the grappling. That's what's really frustrating watching, like, even like UFC fights. You watch them and you're like, okay, the camera wasn't in the right position. I mean, it's really hard because like they can't get that close, but like, like it was in the right position to show how they got out of certain scenarios. Here it's like, obviously it's a movie, but like it's good to like have a visual storytelling that like really explains that. All right, that went on a little too long for that one particular fight, because it's really not something that like really needs to be addressed. What ends up happening, like one moment that's supposed to be more epic is at about the 45-minute mark. Michael Jai White finally takes on Bob Sapp, this dude who is built up to be like the sub boss, or basically a Bobo from Dragons Forever. Not Dragon, Double Dragon. Jeez, I'm fucking up all the titles today. So Michael Jai White is taking on this dude, and it really is like now Michael Jai White's a regular dude, and Bob Sapp is the tank.
Yeah, I was just about to say this. Bob Sapp is the perfect definition of the tank. He's slow but very, very large, very muscular and intimidating, and he's just throwing those haymakers, those left and right haymakers. They're very telegraphed, giving Michael Jai White the opportunity to easily duck under them and counter very easily as well. Right.
Well, I know this fight has your favorite fight scene trope, which is the POV shots. I know how much you love that.
So I don't really like when you go into that POV moment, because I know they can't hit the camera because that would damage the camera. So when you just have somebody kind of punching, inches in front of it, it takes me out of it. And then when you get the reverse POV of the actor reacting to these punches, you don't see the fists even pulling back. So you just see a guy kind of lurching his head back, and it's just a disconnect for me, just a personal choice that I don't like.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. This fight is basically over as soon as like Michael Jai White's character dictates it. He's like, well, I want this to be over, and he just smacks him down to the ground. And
it's kind of a shame though. Like I wish that because like I said before, my problem with this movie is Michael Jai White is pretty much invincible, right? I wish this fight was difficult for him, so that the next 30 minutes of non-fighing is kind of justified, because there's nothing going on after this. It's all story. It's all this is where the plot starts to unfold and we get more information. And this is kind of where the movie lost all steam for me. I was with it, I was kind of digging it. Dante Bosco was really fun. He was moving the scenes along for me. And now they have to go into the backstory and why he's, why he's fighting and doing all these things. And and my eyes started kind of rolling. My head was kind of bobbing. I was like, oh, no, no.
Well, I mean, if you don't know the story, how would do you have an emotional connection to the end of the film? It doesn't matter. I mean, okay, they could have cut up the action, and I think this is something that you and I like addressed as well. Like, oh, this is would have been a great opportunity when towards the 3/4 mark, maybe like 4/5 mark of the movie, where Bob Sapp and a bunch of the other henchmen are basically threatening Dante Bosco in a bar. This could have been a great hand-to-hand combat scene. Like, yes, now the sub-boss has become just a regular goon among a bunch of other goons. This could have been a great, fisticuffs fight. But instead, it turns into a gunfight. And this movie's not known or does gunfights well. In fact, it's kind of lame. And
well, considering that we had so much dialogue and plot doled out to us, when you kind of see that moment, you automatically think, okay, we're going into a fight. You can kind of see the setup. But then as everyone pulls out guns, you're just thinking, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Even Michael Jai White shoots up a bunch of guys too. And that's kind of disappointing because you want to see him fight. You want action. You want the martial arts action.
Right. Yeah.
This movie didn't set itself up to be an action movie with gunplay. So now that they're using guns to take out each other, it's it's a little disappointing.
Right. Right. And it's become after listening to how other people have analyzed gunfights, and I'm not much of a gunfights enthusiast in general, but I will say the way that you would do it is if you're gonna do shot reverse shot of I'm gonna fire the bullet and then next shot someone's gonna get hit by it. If you have it all in one frame, it's much better. But I'm not here to analyze gunfights. All I'm saying is that this is disappointing. I'd rather this be a hand-to-hand combat fight. Very, very, very poor missed opportunity here. So because of that, the next action scene really doesn't happen until the very, very, very end of the film.
Yeah.
And what's great about the final fight? There is technically two final fights, right? We have Michael Jai White versus the original. Well, not the original. The
Replacement.
No. Oh shoot! I'm trying to remember his name. I always blank on his name. Matt Mullins. There you go. Matt Mullins played Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat Legacy and Mortal Kombat Rebirth, alongside Michael Jai White, who ended up playing Jack Spriggs. So I like this fight. This is actually probably the fight that you'll see when you Google or YouTube Blood and Bone. Right. This is the most famous fight in the whole movie. I know that it has problems, but I think that the choreography here is so good, but it is not emblematic of the kind of fighting in the movie, which is unfortunate, right? Because it's flashy. This whole fight is very, very flashy.
You think so?
I think so. In fact,
what I was gonna say is I think what I like about this fight is this is a quote unquote calculated fight. It feels like two guys who are feeling each other out. The pacing is a little slow. They're exchanging moves because they're just constantly trying to read each other. I feel like I don't see too many fights do that because that is slow. But for me, I like the thought process behind it. I like that they're both trying to think tactically. Like, okay, if I do this, what is my opponent going to do? And they constantly feint and they constantly do fake out moves to try and see how each other reacts.
Right.
And I can't recall that happening too much in movies, especially in the last fight. Because usually you want to go big in the last fight. Of course. And I feel they do go big here because it is the best fight in the movie. It's just very differently paced.
Oh, yeah.
It feels a little slower. It feels a little methodical. I think the only problem for me with this fight is there's absolutely no music.
Yeah, I know. I knew that was a complaint for you.
Yeah. So I don't mind that this is a little slower and more methodical, but I'm having a loss in a sense of the pacing because there's nothing to kind of drive that. Even just a little bit in underneath it would have been fine because all we're getting is their breathing and then their movements and then scuffing of the shoes.
Right. Yeah, I don't mind that. I think it adds a lot. I used the word visceral already, but like it adds a little bit like I don't want to say realism, but it adds a little bit of like grittiness to it. Whereas and I don't actually see a lot of movies attempt something like this. So I give this fight scene a lot of applause for that. It puts me in the fight scene for some reason rather than takes me out of it. Actually, I think you said it. I don't want to take the words out of your mouth, but you said that the next fight scene they should have taken that music and put it in this one. And I was like, I don't think so. I think this is perfectly fine. I like just hearing the sound effects rather than having this blaring music that kind of would drown out the fight.
Yeah, well, so I don't want blaring music. I would have liked just something
Something
with
over nothing.
Yeah, something over nothing. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of fights where they drop the music because it's supposed to be serious, and I don't know why. It's just a personal opinion. Whenever that happens for me, there's too much focus now on only the fighting, and I don't know. For some reason I just don't like that. I'm just too hyper focused on what they're doing exactly, and it puts me there too close. I want to step back a little bit.
Right. Well, okay. Music aside, I think I think I can retract or kind of like backpedal a little bit on what I meant by flashy. This fight scene isn't flashy, but not from Michael Jai White. I think it's still emblematic of what his character can do, like fight wise. But like Matt Mullins is incredibly like acrobatic with his movements. He has a lot of like that tricking style, fight style. So I think that kind of like threw me off a little bit. In terms of like the realism, which is fine again, like it's not emblematic of like what Michael Jai White's fight style is like, but I think that like if you watch this fight scene, you're like, wow, this is great, but the rest of the fights in this movie are not like that. But again, that's fine. Like I do think this is probably the without hands out that this is definitely the best fight in the whole movie. Mostly because like it does start off. Almost feel like not that like Michael Jai White has met his match, right? But this is clearly his best opponent so far, right? Because they are. Yeah. It's not. He can't take him out with one hit.
Exactly. Yes. So this is where we're actually getting longer moments of choreography, and it's kind of nice because it's very different. The whole movie we were used to seeing him just one hit, one big kick, and the guy's down. Right. And I think another thing I really like about this too is you can see like the confidence in Matt Mullins. Like he's constantly going into the choreography. He's he's very cocky. He doesn't like put his hands up a lot, and he's just slightly outpacing Michael Jai White a little bit. And it's really fun to see the fight turn in Michael Jai White's favor because I guess what he starts to do is Michael Jai White just starts to feint him a lot. Yeah. And that's where he kind of gets Matt Mullins off guard. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's when he starts to get hits on him. And then you can see that phases Matt Mullins. He starts to lose his confidence. He has to take off his blazer. Yep. He has to start putting his hands up because he's realizing like, okay, I'm not so confident now. I'm not sure what kinds of movie he's going to put out there. So you can see the tide turn in Michael Jai White's favor.
Yeah, right. It's weird. Okay, so you said confidence. See, Michael Jai White has confidence, not just like in terms of the character, but like the way that he fights. There's confidence behind that. Shout out to like the kudos to Matt Mullins for doing this. Like obviously there's the physical performance, like what he's emoting, but like in terms of like how he's actually holding himself, like the way that he's staggering his hits, like he's anticipating attacks that are not even coming out from Michael Jai White yet because he's nervous. Like that's not confidence. That's like just like him being a braggart. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah. It's not. It's like fake confidence, and I like that he can show that off, like from just a purely physical standpoint. And like Michael Jai White isn't just throwing out feints for the sake of throwing out feints. It doesn't seem like he's doing them, like without a plan. Like it seems like you said before, it's calculated. He basically has read Matt Mullins, like MO in a fight already, and like now he knows exactly like, oh, if I just stick my hand out, like without any power. Matt Mullins got to react a certain way, and then that leaves him leaves an opening towards his face, and then delivers a jab to the jab there. And it's great because it's like the closest that Michael Jai White actually comes to like actually facing like a real opponent. And Michael Jai White, like I said, okay, Michael Jai White does do some semi-flashy things in this. Well, for instance, his character has to do a kip up, which Michael Jai White actually couldn't do, so they got a stunt person to do, which is fine. But there's this one move that he does to like really kind of debilitate Matt Mullins towards the end of the fight, where he does a spinning kick and then he delivers another one, all in the same leg.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, we actually spoke about this in the last episode, Weira. So it's like the first spinning kick misses because Matt Mullins kind of leans back, but then he continues the rotation, comes around, and then it hits him again.
Right.
And that's kind of where Matt Mullins is like, okay, yeah, he's now on the losing side of this fight.
Right. Well, see, one thing I didn't like about what they did in Weira was that it just kind of came out of nowhere and it looked kind of weird. And like I had a problem with how they set that up, right? But here it's perfect because it starts with Michael Jai White only doing one wheel kick. Mm-hmm. It misses, and so Matt Mullins like, okay, he's gonna do another one. Okay, so he anticipates that. He tries to block the first one, and he dodges the first one and gets hit by the second one. Mm-hmm. It's great. Like that's how I wanted Weira to
right.
it.
I mean, this moment kind of went by the rule of threes. He's like, oh, okay, he's happening again. I'm gonna dodge, and then he gets the third one out, but he wasn't anticipating it, so he gets hit in the face.
Right. Yeah, and I noticed like the way that starts, Michael Jai White holds more of a traditional karate stance. Karate's more, like your side faces the opponent. But as the fight goes on, I mean, this is very typical of any action movie. As the fight goes on, like he basically has Matt Mullins beat down. He takes on a more square stance, like complete confidence. Like I don't even need to hold any sort of stance at all. Like I have you completely numbered. Like I can predict everything you're about to do and just finish you off. And I know you don't like the final grapple move he does on Matt Mullins.
So I was actually confused what they did because of the choice of camera angle. Mm-hmm. So Michael Jai White it looks like he's going to do an axe kick because he lifts his leg up and he kind of goes on the shoulder of Matt Mullins. And we're in this close-up shot of it. But then in the following shot, it cuts to like a reverse, but it's like we're all the way on the other side of the ring. Mm-hmm. And Michael Jai White jumps up almost like onto his shoulders. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of puts him in a neck lock with both legs. He lets his weight drop, causing them both to tumble to the ground. And then they get into this submission hold. Mm-hmm. That was so confusing when I first saw that because the camera jumps to almost the other side of the screen because we're that close. So I had to rewatch it a few times to see exactly what they did.
Yeah.
That was my only problem with it. I didn't understand what happened. That was basically it.
Right.
It's a cool move. It's a really cool move.
Right.
But yeah, it's just visually I didn't get it.
Yeah, I think the coolness factor outweighs the complexity of it in my opinion. I think it's a complicated move, to perform. But I don't think the visual clarity is as bad in my opinion. Just because like we do have this nice wide. However, I do think like actually performing the move is so complicated. That's why it is so visually complicated, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why like I give Michael Jai White the props for doing that. It's very hard to explain and probably even harder to actually do. But yeah, he puts him in that submission, and that's actually Michael Jai White's actually doing it. So again, more props to him. And like he puts him down, and then we get into our next fight. So the Matt Mullins fight is over, the best fight of the film. I forgot that this final fight happens, and that's how we cap it off.
It's a weapons fight, but I don't believe that Eamon Walker, the actor, is a trained martial artist. I believe in the making of, they said he trained for a little bit, using the Chinese straight sword and then the katana. Yep. So, he has training, but you can see that he is not as skilled and not as smooth as Michael Jai White. He comes across really stiff. Right. And I guess, it's unfortunate. But, the actor's trying to do it. So I give him some credit there.
Well, I mean, it's kind of obvious that he's not trained. The first thing he does is he lunges forward, but like, it's like goes against all intuition on what you're supposed to do with the sword. He doesn't swipe with it. He just literally lunges his body forward and then sticks his hands out in front of him. There's no power at all behind it. And he holds it out there to wait for Michael Jai White's cue to hit him in the legs. He waits for a solid second, and that's way too long in a fight scene. That's how you start this off. And and we are failing to mention that Michael Jai White is fighting this katana with a scabbard, just the scabbard.
Yeah, for people who don't know what that is the sword holder.
Yeah.
for simpler words.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as I did kind of complain about the actors' lack of sword playability, I like that the movie kind of puts the it uses choreography. It uses that to design the choreography. So what they show is that Eamon Walker, anytime he tries to do a blow, Michael Jai White is just too fast for him.
Yep.
He kind of like knocks the sword out of the way and gets a hit in. And they do that over and over again. So it's just, even though he's not a skilled martial artist, Eamon Walker, they play to what they can do with his
limitations.
Right.
Yeah.
So, not the best weapons fight, but they do what they can because the actor, doesn't know how to really use a weapon.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and it's only the whole thing that is only like 40 seconds.
Yeah, it's extremely short.
It's cathartic, right?
I mean, in terms of story, it is cathartic because he's got to do the thing to save the people, and hands off to Eamon Walker for his attempt in trying to fight Michael Jai White with a sword.
Oh my god,
You get
that's
that?
so subtle, Zero. That's so subtle. Not as I mean that this would have been the great cap off for this character, but instead they decide to put only one post-credits scene in the movie, only one, and it's in such poor taste. It is so bad.
Well, I mean, he's the bad guy, so you want bad things to happen to him at the
but
end.
not that. I don't want to see that.
Right? Yeah. Well, you can watch the movie and see what we mean.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's Blood and Bone, right?
Yeah, that's Blood and Bone. Yeah. Yeah. Zero. What'd you think? Okay. I'll go first because I have seen it before, and I want to hear your opinion because this is your first time watching it. I mean, I clearly like the movie a lot. I don't love it, but I like it a lot. It's not until we started the discussion and like literally thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, Michael Jai White actually, he's probably the best embodiment of like this movie in particular, like his best embodiment of like a Bruce Lee film, like in terms of fight choreography, right? Like he has the idea down to a T. It's like, yes, it's power over it's function over form, right? It's like let's not focus so much on the flashy stuff. Yes, let's throw the flashy stuff in there too. But like Bruce Lee was all about like efficiency. Like how can we take down these guys too? And also Bruce Lee had the physique to match what he could do on screen. And Michael Jai White's like the perfect, in this movie, I mean, like is a perfect like modern interpretation of like what Bruce Lee film was like. So I like that a lot about this movie. The fight scenes themselves aren't spectacular. They're good, but they're not spectacular. I think that I don't really recommend the fight scenes. That's so weird that I just literally like said so many great things about the fight scenes. But like at the same time, like I don't really recommend them without the movie. I think the fights themselves are great, but I like them watching. Now I like watching them with the context of the movie around it, right? Yes, it does drag like crazy once you get halfway through the film. But I mean, I think that it's a good viewing experience. You just have to set your expectations at a certain standard. But yeah, like it's overall a solid film. It's one of Michael Jai White's earlier martial arts, films. But yeah, it's a great demonstration of what he can do. Him at his prime. But before it became like, okay, well now it's just becoming another Michael Jai White trope. But yeah, I recommend the movie, and I mean you already knew that since I was the one recommending it to you for our viewing. So Zero, what is your thoughts on Blood and Bone?
So it's interesting, as we were talking about this, I was also thinking similarly with this movie feels like it's like a modern interpretation of a Bruce Lee movie. I was with the last fight because it's calculating. They're kind of feeling each other out. I was getting like Way of the Dragon a little bit with like the Bruce with the Chuck Norris fight. Them just trying to encircling each other, trying to feel each other out. And then earlier, with him just dispatching bad guys, in the jail cell with 1 or 2 hits. Very, very similar to like a Bruce Lee fight scene. So I like that. Yeah, the movie, unfortunately, it doesn't fall apart. It just grinds to a halt for me at the midway point. So I was getting kind of bored with it. Because I loved Dante Bosco's performance. He was like carrying the whole film for me, and then he kind of gets written out halfway through because they need to start focusing on that that wife character and all the stuff he's trying to do for her. And I could not care about that stuff at all. I get it. It kind of needs to be in there for the plot to be a little more than just a pit fighter tournament movie, but I don't know. It's kind of a hard sell for me. I think if you haven't seen a Michael Jai White movie before, if you haven't seen Black Dynamite, then I would recommend this.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I this or Undisputed 2.
Right.
Because those are the only ones I've seen, so that's all I can recommend.
Triple Threat, kinda.
I mean, he's not really the star in
that's true.
Threat,
That is true. I mean, well, okay. If you have, sorry, not to interrupt, but like, well, you said it before. If you have to choose between this or Black Dynamite, I mean, obviously choose Black Dynamite.
Right.
That's a no brainer.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a tough sell for me. I'm, like I always like to like I like the fights, and I agree with you that I think in context of the film, the fights work better than watching them by itself. But I do like that last fight a lot, even though I wasn't crazy about the lack of music. I think it's an interesting fight because I haven't seen that type of fight where 2 guys are trying to feel each other out first and then kind of go into it.
Right.
So yeah, I'm like a question mark on this.
Oh yeah,
in terms of recommends. Yeah, I'm not sure. So I know I wouldn't rewatch this. But as I said, if you haven't really seen Michael Jai White movies, I feel like I could recommend this, and definitely Black Dynamite. So yeah, question mark.
Wow, that's a first.
Yeah. I have weird feelings about this movie, especially when they end on a Genghis Khan quote. Like out of all the people to quote, I thought they were trying to quote, Art of War, earlier, but it turns out they were still quoting Genghis Khan. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't think he's the guy you should be quoting.
Yeah. Who better to quote than a pillager and rapist and the best person. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Glenn Bone. If you guys are curious. What happened to Zuko? Oh God, I ruined the joke before I can even finish it. Damn it! Whatever. Dante Bosco disappeared because he went to go find his honor.
Yes.
That was a joke written by my girlfriend, so I felt the need to say it. Oh man. Okay. Well, that's a question mark recommend for you. Okay. So somewhere between those two is the answer.
Yeah.
All right,
That's Blood and Bone.
Yep.
I can't take this guy seriously with the name Bone. The whole time I was hoping someone was gonna make like a bone joke, like, oh, he's gonna bone your wife, or he's gonna do this or do that. And
didn't I say something stupid like his full name is like Bonelius?
Oh yeah. I wish his name was something really stupid along those lines.